My first special came out about 1.5 years ago, and it did better than I ever could expected. But it was the first thing I ever had out there that had enough traction where people would actually leave comments on my comedy. And I'm stupid enough where I will read those comments. But I'm also a comedian, so I only notice the negative parts of it, you know? And the one guy that got me, that bugged me, he just had a 4-word comment after my set. 4 words after the end of it, and just 4 words, and it just said, "A fat Harry Potter." Not exactly constructive criticism is what I'm getting at. But I was talking to my wife about this. She said, why do you read that? I said, this guy called me a fat Harry Potter. I looked at her, I was like, Danny, do I look like Harry Potter? She's like, Chad, you do not look like Harry Potter. And I said, am I fat? And she said, Chad, you do not look like Harry Potter. I understand sometimes people just don't know what to say after a show. I get it. I had a woman come up to me after a show, and she said, I would like to give you a compliment. I said, okay, what's that? And she said, I'm not sure if you're funnier than the other guy, but he's better looking. I said, I'm not sure you know what the word compliment means. But I've been on stage about a minute now, and I haven't been physically escorted off stage, which means by definition, this can't be the worst show that I've ever had. Yeah, because here's that story. I was doing some stuff in Atlanta, and I was driving back to Missouri. Now, if you know anything about geography, I have to go across the very western part of Tennessee. As I'm going through there, a guy calls me, it's a comedy booker, and he said, hey, I just checked your schedule. Is there any chance you're near such and such Tennessee? And I punched it up, I'm like, yeah, I'm like 20 minutes from there. He said, that's amazing. He said, I just had a guy cancel a show on me. He said, it starts in about an hour. He said, why don't you just go by and do the show? Just tell him you're him. Always a good start. They're going to pay you in cash. I'll even bonus you for bailing me out, and then you can go on home. So I get to this gig, and it was for the Tennessee chapter of PETA, the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals. Now, I have just given you a piece of information that I didn't get. So I go up there, I tell my first joke, everything, ha, 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 we're off and running right now. The whole venue, it's kind of set up like this. The stage is higher, and it's metal folding chairs. And it's along the rectangle in the front row of these chairs, all these women are holding small dogs. Like, what's the story with these dogs? And they said, these are our therapy animals. And I said, I've heard that phrase before, but what exactly does that mean? And the guy in the back yells out, he goes, those are animals that help keep us calm and relaxed. All right. Guy goes, do you have a therapy animal? I was like, well, I guess mine's a cow. And he's like, how is a cow a therapy animal? I said, well, it keeps me calm and relaxed to know I have a freezer full of beef. Physically escorted out the door by 2 80-year-olds wearing matching cat sweaters. That's kind of the way that went. But it is great to be here. And you will hear every comedian in the world say, oh, it's great to be here, it's great to be here. And what that really means in the comedian world is it's great to be getting paid. That's what that means. You know, I'm not trying to destroy the illusion of comedy for anybody, but if we were doing this across the street in the pharmacy, it'd be great to be there. I mean, that's just kind of the way things work. But I've got a little bit of a different story for that now because I work cruise ships every once in a while. And I was supposed to take a boat, and my flight coming out of Dallas-Fort Worth got delayed, and the boat left without me. Now, what the cruise lines do when this happens, they fly you ahead to the next port city. So that way, when the boat gets there, you're already there, and you just catch the boat and make up any shows. If you missed them, that's the way they take care of those things. So that's what it did. I was supposed to catch a boat out of Cozumel, and they fly me ahead, and I stay at the hotel, start to leave the next morning, and the girl said, okay, the van's going to be on your way to pick you up. I was like, okay, that sounds good. I said, how far am I away from the boat? She goes, like 4 or 5. I'm like, oh, perfect. So I'll be on the boat in like 20 minutes. And she said, no, 4 to 5 hours. 4 to 5 hours. And then the first part of the conversation replays in my head, the van's going to pick you up. I'm going to be in a van going across Mexico for 4 to 5 hours? I've seen forensic files. I know how some of these stories start off, you know. So the van comes and picks me up and we leave. Super nice guy, but he looked at me and he said, "Do you talk the Spanish?" No. He said, "I don't talk the English." And I said, "I picked up on that." And he said, "How about radio?" And there's one working speaker behind my head. And I'm like, okay, fine, let's listen to the radio. And this guy loved Whitney Houston, which was really weird to me, you know, because we're driving 4 hours across the back parts of Mexico, the parts that you don't see on the travel brochures. I mean, we're seeing the abandoned cars and the burned out buildings and everything's got graffiti on. I'm kind of looking at all this, and it's kind of sad. And the whole time I've got, I want to dance with somebody in my head. It was so weird, right? So we finally, round the corner, and I can see the top of the boat. It's like, finally. As we're going up there, the Mexican police go and they form a single file line across this road we're supposed to go up. And I thought, oh, well, this can't get any worse. As I think that, about 20 yards behind them, the Mexican military line up behind them. I mean, fatigues, automatic weapons, the real thing. I was like, oh, I stand corrected. This just got much, much worse. And the guy goes up there and he rolls down the window. Now, I don't know what they're saying because, number one, I don't talk the Spanish. And number two, I can't hear him anyway because I have "I Will Always Love You" blasting at 8,000 decibels in my head. So he goes up there, he makes this little horseshoe turn, and turns around and looks at me and goes, "You must get out." And I said, "Well, how am I supposed to get to the boat?" And he said, "Walk." And I said, "Is everything okay?" And he said, "No." And I said, "You picked up on that English pretty quick." So I had to get out of the van and walk the last quarter of a mile, dragging my bags through gravel and dirt as the Mexican military are on both sides of me, finger on triggers, just waiting for me to do something wrong so they can open up fire on me. So when I tell you tonight, Provo, that it is great to be here, I mean, it is fantastic to be here.